Well, welcome, Melanee. We are so delighted to have you here today. Please tell everybody about yourself because you have just such an amazing background and story.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Eileen. So the way I like to introduce myself first and foremost is by my name. My name is Melanee, and it's spelled with two E's on the end and there's no I. It's one of my favorite kind of like my cowgirl hat here, love Western wear. And it's one of my trademarks, shall we say. I also go by double E or EE. So all that to say, to let you know, whoever you are, I want you to know before we go any further, if you hate Western wear, I'm so sorry. No. But all right. But I am a born again woman. A woman who 30 plus years ago hated God. And 24 years ago, I began the process of recovery. Over 24 years ago now. Where I used to hate being a woman. And now, oh man, I love being a girl. I love being female. I love being a woman. And what I love even more than any of all that is to be able to let others know how deeply and passionately and perfectly and purely Papa, that's who I call God, how perfectly Papa loves you. That's what I love to do.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, you certainly make the world a brighter place with you in it, for sure. You shine a beautiful light. So thank you for sharing that with us and with our listeners today. Well, Melanee, tell us a little bit about what you're doing now for work, and let's just get to know you a little bit better.
Well, I'm a writer, I'm a speaker, I'm a trainer, I'm a coach. I am part of a independent business. I'm an independent business owner with a company, a health and wellness company that actually, that's how I met you.
Yes, that's right.
Last year, as a matter of fact. It was amazing. Oh my goodness, you were off the charts going, let me just tell you, it was like, where am I can't write fast enough. And we got to dance. I mean, we just got to do stuff, baby. So anyway, so that's just the health and wellness part, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Like I said already, I've been in recovery for over 24 years. I've been part of Celebrate Recovery since 2003 here in Tallahassee, Florida, where I live.
Wow.
And so I've written my first book. It's due to be published this year. Yes, it's called, let me just go and tell you what it's called. It's called Loved I Am. And you know how if you want to slow down a sentence, you kind of like put a period after each word, right? So that's how it is. It's loved dot am with an exclamation mark, because I'm an exclamation mark kind of babe.
You certainly are, and that's wonderful. And we will certainly put links to that in the show notes so people can go out and get that.
Thanks.
And read it. I'm sure it will be fantastic. I can't wait to read it myself.
Appreciate that.
Well, wonderful. Well, what part of the many different hats that you wear, no pun intended,
or pun intended,
do you enjoy the most, Melanee? What's your favorite thing? If you could wake up and do one thing every day, what would that be?
I tell you, it is so intricately linked. The only way that I became who I am today, and I'm continuing to learn. I love how John Maxwell says it. He says he is a lifetime student.
Yes.
He is a forever learner. Okay. So what I let folks know is it's not just one thing. It's like a bunch of little rocks. I love rocks. Okay. A bunch of little rocks, and you put them around a campfire, right? Mm-hmm. So you have put a boundary. And what's all in there? Is it just one stick in the fire? No, we need a number of sticks, but one source.
Yes.
One source. And that's what I let folks know. Without that one source in their life, again, my faith is night and day for me. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So when I can have people's face go from this, I'm going to do it purposely, this looking down to up.
Nice.
And they get to see their source, the creator, face to face. Oh my God. And hear his voice and see his eyes. and be held by him. So many people I know, I didn't know I could experience that before. And so that one thing then leads to all those others.
Wow.
So health and wellness, you better believe it. Darling, I almost said darling because I do say darling a lot to people, but then I was like, no, I don't need to say that. Sorry about that. Darlene, let me do it that way. Without the health and wellness part, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I don't mean just having met you. I'm talking about I would still be so depressed. I would still be so anxious. I would still be without energy, focused energy, and not just focused energy, sustained long-term energy. We would not be having this conversation. So health and wellness is huge for me.
Yeah, obviously. Well, talk a little bit about, I know it's going to be hard for people to believe that you weren't always this happy and full of life and light, but talk a little bit about what you were going through before you really got on this journey that included obviously spiritual journey as well as physical health journey, so that our listeners, they run the spectrum, right? Some of them are very healthy, and then some of them are in a place that you were. And I think it will really be helpful if they can kind of hear what you were going through before and then how you transitioned out of that.
Okay. This perhaps will give you a good picture.
Okay.
For those of you who are listening on the podcast, what I just did is I lowered my head, I closed my eyes, and internally, I felt sick. Sick, that phrase, I think it's a cliche now, the dark soul of the night, that thing. That's what life 24/7 pretty much was for me. Now, people would say, well, Melanee, how long have you been? I never knew you were depressed. And I said, I've been depressed for decades. And they went, I never saw you depressed. And I went, that's right. I didn't leave the house when I was that depressed.
Wow.
Of course they didn't see me. I stayed home when that was happening.
Sure.
All right. So, but even when I went out into public, even when I was still serving as a Celebrate Recovery leader, right, going there on Friday nights, and sometimes that's all I could do was show up, right, is I could at least for a few hours put on a good face. I'm sure you've been there.
Absolutely.
I'm sure people who are listening or watching this have been there. So if you were like me, if you've ever experienced depression, anxiety, exhaustion, like just you had trouble sleeping, your brain was just going woo, 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 or perhaps the opposite extreme. I'm worthless. I have no value. And what I'm doing right now is I'm explaining, if you're there, that's where I was.
Wow. I
did not believe I had anything of value, of great value to offer others. And it was not until the last 18 months or so when my life really took off. I mean, like, fantastic. Was it perfect? No. I've had hard days.
Sure.
But it is so much different. I don't sleep 10, 12, 15 hours a day anymore.
Wow.
I've written my book.
Yes.
I've worked for decades to write my book. I knew for a fact Papa had called me to write, and well, it just wasn't happening. It's hard work. I couldn't even have long conversations. You might think this is not a very long conversation if you're listening to this right now. Well, let me guarantee you, I did not have sustained energy.
Wow.
And now I do. Clarity, no brain fog. I can actually hear better from Papa. And not just him. Yeah. I can hear better from my safe teams. That's what I call the people in my life who have proven themselves safe and trustworthy over time. They have appropriately and consistently and in a timely fashion met my needs or been able to invest in my needs. And for those of you who didn't just pick up on that, that's ACT. Appropriately, consistently, in a timely fashion, invested in me to where I knew, and this comes back to the title of my book, until I knew loved I am. And then I turn around and I share that with others so that they know loved you are. That's my next book title, by the way. Don't take it. Don't steal it. No.
No worries. No worries at all. Definitely. That is
Okay.
all. Wow, you are such an inspiration, Melanee. Absolutely love hearing you speak. I know our listeners are absolutely loving this as well, and you are inspiring them. Well, tell us, you mentioned specifically 18 months ago you had a transition. So talk to us about that.
Well, a friend of mine picked up the phone, gave me a call, invited me to take a look at something. I didn't have a clue what that was.
Mm.
And I went, okay, sure. I'm serious. I was like, I'm so depressed. Who cares? You know, I'll watch a video, right? And this is no joke. Now, mind you, I'd been taking supplements for 8 years at that point.
Okay.
Right.
Mm.
And it's kind of like I hear a friend of mine, a dear friend of mine, a mutual friend of ours, as a matter of fact, she'll say, well, you know, you take those supplements because you know you want to, but you really don't feel any different.
Mm.
Well, I've been doing that for 8 years. And then I hear this presentation. But because of all the research I had been doing for those 8 years, right? I went, oh, I recognize that. I know that to be true. Oh my goodness, that's right. And because it was somebody I knew and I liked them and I trusted them, I got on the phone and I said, I want to join. And so I did. Yeah. And a few days later, I got these amazing products and boom. Now, I want you to hear this. This is really going to sound crazy, okay? To some people, because they go, 6 hours. And I went, yeah, 6 hours. In 6 hours, I felt different after starting the products.
Are you kidding?
I am not kidding you.
Wow.
I'm not kidding you. So I was actually living in someone's home at the time. I'd been renting a room for them for well over 5 years, right? It's a husband and wife.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks later, after starting the products, I am not kidding you. They're standing, I don't know, maybe like 20 feet away from me. I'm sitting on the floor organizing, because I'm a major organizer, organizing their entire kitchen with their permission, okay, with their permission. Organizing their entire kitchen. Because the rule is, if I do something, they don't like it, I have to put it back. But for the most part, they love what I do, okay? And I'm not there anymore. I've been able to move into my own place, but then I was living there. And they're just standing there staring at me, and I finally noticed that they're staring at me, and I'm like, what? And they both said, Melanee, you're so different. I said, what do you mean? They said, you're not the same woman you were a few weeks ago. I said, I know, you're seeing it from the outside. You want to be on the inside of this body.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So, and now that's what people would call anecdotal stories, right?
Sure, absolutely.
And so you're a doctor, you're a neurosurgeon.
Yeah.
There's a lot of folks on here. Give me the blood work. Give me the blood work. Let me see the blood work. Okay, so this is so cool. Just the week before I started any of this, I happened to have an appointment with my nurse practitioner, right?
Yeah.
And did the blood work, submitted it before the products were taken. I'd had blood work done a few months earlier. Mm-hmm. After I came back the following week, my nurse practitioner looked at me and she went, you're not the same woman who was in my office last week. I said, wow. I know. And so she said, and I said, I don't know if it's too early, but can we do more blood work soon? Mm-hmm. So in about a month or so, she submitted more blood work.
Wow.
Life-changing stuff.
Wow.
Changed in me.
That's great.
Shows up on the blood work.
Great. So I will tell you, as a doctor, a lot of times, especially depression, is caused by a vitamin or mineral deficiency, that when that is low in the body, and it's low actually in a lot of people, even those that are taking vitamins, taking supplements like you were, right, for 8 years and not having an effect. And when those nutrients that are supposed to be in our system are replaced, it can cause those changes actually very, very rapidly, and it's absolutely incredible. And B vitamins are really one of the ones that we see that a lot with. When you're low in vitamin B, depression is very, very common. Most people say, well, I take a multivitamin, right, off of the shelf. Well, a third of people cannot absorb the vitamin B9 and B12 in the standard multivitamins. They have to have it in a methylated form. It's a genetic change in about 30% of people. So if they are taking, if that 30% of people is taking vitamins off the shelf, then they're not actually going to get the benefit from the B9 and the B12, which can cause them to be taking a vitamin and persistently depressed. And so I'm wondering if that's something that happened with you. So that would be interesting to know. But I'm very excited that you are just have had this radical life transformation. And it's amazing when the people you live with and the people that you see regularly notice a change like that. I mean, that is incredibly fulfilling. Can you tell our listeners a few things that you did specifically, some supplements that you were taking that you felt were really helpful for you?
Well, one of the very first things, it's for me, the easiest way to do this, kind of think about what do I start my day with and how do I go through my day.
Okay, perfect.
So right off, I start off with a probiotic, and as well as sulfur, or organic sulfur. It's amazing. And for those people who immediately hear the word sulfa, no, I am drastically allergic to sulfa, and it's not that. It's the actual, as you well know, it's the actual mineral that we desperately need, our bodies need, and we're pretty much not getting that anymore. At least not here in the States. I don't know about elsewhere, but I know here in the States we're not getting that anymore from our food.
No, it used to. Yeah, it used to be in the soil.
Yeah.
So we would get it when we would eat, vegetables from the earth and all that. But now, even if you are eating organic, you're not getting the sulfur that you need. And it really is something that particularly helps a lot of people with pain and detoxification. What do you feel that helped you with the most?
Oh, well, I can tell you this much. So my hands here, right? So I'm a drummer.
Ah,
right?
Nice.
I love playing the drums. And it wasn't that I had terrible arthritis pain, but every morning, I would wake up and my joints would just ache. They don't anymore.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's significant. So to be able to have my joints not hurt, I love that. Okay. And so one of the other things that I take right off in the morning is a combination of superfruits. I like to do it alphabetically. Remember, I don't do everything alphabetically, but I do a lot of things alphabetically. So acai, and goji, and mangosteen, and noni. Wow. Those four combined together. And when I need it, I'll take extra acai if I'm feeling like, when I'm not catching my thoughts and taking them captive fast enough, and I kind of do this, I went, wait. It's amazing. I have a very physical action I can take that I know helps my body, which helps my brain, helps my heart, right? And then I'm able to, it's just like that. I think this is the best way to describe it. Let me give you a visual.
Okay.
You go outside, you got a big boulder, it's in the way of your car, you're going to pick up that boulder. It's too heavy. You can't lift it.
Right.
So you go get some leverage.
Nice.
That's what these superfoods, that's what actually all of these are. They're not just giving my body what it needs to heal itself, right? Because if you give the body what it needs, what God himself created my body to use as food and so that I can live fully alive, right? It's like that. It's these products are leverages.
Yes.
And I can move that boulder now. Piece of cake. It's amazing. It really is.
Wow, that's wonderful. Oh, I love that description too. That's perfect. That's perfect. So, all right. Well, what would be the top three tips that you would give our listeners if they haven't really looked into nutrition significantly and they are looking to get started? What would be the top three bits of advice that you would give somebody starting out?
So let me clarify. What three tips would I share with someone? They're sitting in the room right in front of me,
Right?
and they're wondering what could help them, as
Yes.
in products, or what actions could they take? Which one? We're talking maybe both?
Your tips. So,
Okay, my tips.
whatever is most helpful for you.
Okay, just making sure, just making sure.
Yeah.
Well, first and foremost, I would ask them just to do an inventory.
Okay.
Do you like where you are?
Ah, good
Because
question.
see, if they like where they are,
Yeah.
well, I don't have anything else to share with them.
Yeah.
But if they say, yes, I love where I am, I don't have any problems. I would I would not holler out like the sharks did in Dory, and excuse me, like the sharks did in Nemo, and say, no, okay? But anybody who is in recovery or has watched the movie knows exactly what I'm talking about. But let me get back on track. If they say they like exactly where they are, I would ask them more questions. Okay, so that's that set. You know,
Okay.
tell me what you like. And then eventually, more than likely, I'm going to hear what they don't like,
Sure.
which leads me to that
Yes.
second one,
Okay.
which is tell me what it is you don't like. So, regardless where that person started off with, I now ask them, so I listen.
Hmm.
What is it you don't like? What would you like different about your life? And then from there, I would go, well, based upon my experience, my safe team's experiences, people who mentor me, whether I've personally met them or not, this is what I've learned. And I would share some basics with them. Sleep,
Mm,
good sleep.
that's a good
You
one.
know that. You talk about that a lot.
Seven
Good
to eight
sleep.
hours a night every
That's
night.
right, babe. That's right. So solid sleep,
Yeah.
restful sleep. I think that's perhaps the best way to say it.
Yes.
Restful sleep, solid, healthy nutrition
Hmm.
in order to cleanse out the toxins,
Yeah.
balance the hormones, balance the body, get it alkaline,
Yep.
and then build it up. See, what I haven't even shared with you is that first week I went right on the 7-day detox. As soon as I got my products, I went right into the detox.
Wow.
I lost 5 pounds that week.
Oh, in a week? That's
In a week. I
amazing.
lost 5 pounds in a week, and mostly in my gut,
Wow. Yeah.
because I was so bloated.
Mm.
I was so inflamed. If people think, oh, I'm fine, I get enough sleep, I went, well, as far as I know, you've been living on this earth how many years? You're toxic, honey. And I don't say it like that to them. You're toxic, honey. I don't say it like that. But I let them know that there's toxins all around us, long before anything else that we're currently dealing with.
Right, of course.
But that that's just the way it is. And once I explained to them how our cells were created to protect us from toxins,
Hmm.
and how those cells, when they get filled up with toxins, cannot absorb the good stuff pouring in
Right.
until the toxins are out of the cells. And when that happens, it's like immediately, over and over again, I see people's like light bulbs go on over and over and over again. I tell them this way. So if they've been in recovery for any length of time,
Hmm.
they get this language. So you remember those lies that you believed about yourself or about God or about others? Yeah. And I said, and you remember how you got the lies out by bringing the truth in?
Hmm.
Yeah. I said, but as long as the lies were what you were believing and not the truth just kind of right over you. Yeah. I said, same thing for your body. In the scriptures, It is no different. A dear friend of mine, amazing man, his name is Cy Rogers. He
Mhm.
says it this way. He says, what's true for the body is true for the soul.
Mm.
And so when people, and it doesn't matter which way, if somebody's coming in with nutritional, but they don't understand recovery, or people coming in from recovery and don't understand nutritional, either way, it works such hand in hand. And both are so important.
Absolutely. I love that. And I deal with the mind a lot,
Mhm.
obviously, being a neurosurgeon and neuroscientist. And one of the things we talk about is every thought you have, every action you take, every word you speak, it forms a pathway in your brain.
Mhm.
And a lot of times, unfortunately, we have all built up some negative thoughts and negative pathways in our brain. And people try to overcome this by speaking positive affirmations, right? Without going in and breaking down the lies and exposing them for the lies that they are. You're never going to make progress until you break down the lies and build up the truth simultaneously, just like you said. You
Mhm.
have to take out the toxins and fill in with good, positive nutrition. So I love that you brought that up. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Melanee, thank you so much for being here with us today. My goodness, we're going to have you back on there. You've given me so many ideas for what we can talk to you about. So I hope you will honor us by being a guest on a future podcast as
I would
well.
love to. Thank you. I'm serious. I would love to.
Wonderful. Well, tell our listeners how they can get in touch with you because they are going to want to know more about this wonderful woman here. So, how can they reach you?
Well, there's a couple of different ways.
Okay.
My main way, which is my original ministry,
Hmm.
is His Great Love. Okay, so that's the name of the ministry.
Okay.
And now let me give you the way the website is addressed. It's His Great Love 1. Because remember, I told you I'm an exclamation mark babe. Well,
Yes.
websites don't take exclamation
You
marks. So
can't put it. I know it's crazy, isn't
I
it?
know. So I put a one at the number one at the end of it. So hisgreatlove1.org. So if you
Okay.
can't remember anything else, you got that. But look me up on Facebook. I'm definitely on there.
Okay.
And so it's Melanee with two E's on the end and no I,
Yes.
Lisa Davidson. So Melanee Lisa Davidson on Facebook.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Melanee. It's been an absolute delight having you on here today. We'll talk to you again soon. Be blessed.
Thank you. God bless you.